everyone. So after reading the description for this class when I first decided that I was going to take it, and going through the class, it was definitely what I was expected. The description was extremely thorough, which is great because it basically pointed out every single thing that we were going to go through and everything that we were going to talk about in this course. And I really think that it was exactly what we learned in this class and even more. I really enjoyed the incorporation of film because I think that, film is another very important form of art. And based on that, I've been more interested in taking interdisciplinary courses related to film, such as like how we study film, like cinematography or dialogue, because the dialogue between characters is something that truly gives away what the story is going to be about. And if you analyze their facial expressions, that's something that's also extremely influential in the story. So some of the most challenging parts of this course were definitely writing the reaction essays. I don't think that they were long. I just thought that sometimes I would have writer's block and it was very difficult for me to come up with ideas for the essay, and I would kind of just sit at the computer thinking like, how can I incorporate this? How can I incorporate that aspect? So I think that for me is one of the most challenging parts, and also writing isn't one of my strongest subjects, so it was definitely a little bit of an issue for me. But once I was able to finish the essay and I found all the different sources, it's something that also brought me the most satisfaction. I think another thing that brought me a lot of satisfaction was writing the breaking stories, because it was very interesting to see how, even though what we're learning about is from the past, we're analyzing, art from before 1961 until we got to about module 5 where we started analyzing the present. Even though that's all art from the past, it still relates very much to the 21st century and something that's happened not even 5 years ago. So I thought that it was very satisfying to be able to find that information and to be able to connect it to something that's important from the past. So I think one of the most important things that I got from this course was the power of images, right? That's like the main theme of the course, how images or dance, any kind of performance art is capable of convincing a group of people for one viewpoint or another, and I thought that was something that was extremely influential. For example, like the Degenerate art film, we saw that not only was the power of images important, but also the power of a politician. So that was something that I thought was extremely connected. Another thing that I really enjoyed was the way we can use our bodies for praise or protest, and I wrote about it in the Breaking Story for Module 3, where there were protesters who stood together and protest against Brett Kavanaugh's election in the Supreme Court. And I thought that, the ability that they had to come together and use their bodies as physical evidence, as, this is what's going on, and like, I stand with you, it kind of makes it that much more powerful. So I thought that was extremely important. And another thing that I thought was extremely influential for me was using music as a vehicle for social change. I've always loved music. I've always thought that musical artists were able to express themselves, whether through their lyrics or the harmonies or melodies that they come up with. And I've always thought that, being able to come together using music is something that should be important, whether you have differences, whether they're cultural differences or any other kind of differences. If you can use music as a way to make a bridge between two groups of people, then that's something that's extremely important and extremely great. Finally, I think one of the last themes from this course that I really enjoyed was the Scopes trial and the argument of evolution versus creationism. I thought that the Scopes trial, Inherit the Wind, I thought the film was extremely good at kind of summarizing the main idea of what that trial was about, and it was very interesting to see the arguments that they brought up while watching the film. I noticed that there was a lot of screaming going on, so it was kind of like you couldn't really hear either side's argument because there was just so much like commotion. But I thought that it was interesting how the trial started becoming more about evolution versus creationism versus like this man breaking the law. So thank you so much for this course. It was great, and I can't wait for Summer B.